Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. So as you guys know, we recently did a show with featuring some comments that Ric Bucher made, where he was essentially exposing all of the narratives that were being propagated by the LeBron camp. As you guys know, since last year, the Lakers made it clear that they didn't want the services of LeBron James. Since last year. We all knew this. We all knew that LeBron was on his last year of his contract. Everyone knew this, right? When the Lakers had an opportunity to extend him, they said no. But now, all of a sudden, now that his contract has expired and they went off and gave Austin Reeves money and they started making other moves, they wanted to now twist it and make it seem like, oh, well, LeBron is the one that left the Lakers. Not them that said goodbye. And they have just been on this long campaign of lies. But one of the people that called it out was Ric Bucher. And we did a show on it. And one of the biggest LeBron James zealots out there, Shannon Sharpe, went after Ric Bucher viciously for daring to talk about his boo thing, LeBron James. Take a look at the original rant on a Nightcap.
Acquired Luka, and he finds it funny his exit was framed as LeBron telling the Lakers he was leaving. Wow, Rick, you're breaking news. I mean, that's a way to go. That's a way to go out on a limb. So let me ask you a question: If they didn't get Luka, we understand that LeBron does not have the same cachet at 41, almost 42. He had at 25.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, Mr. Bucher, and Rick was on Undisputed. If they the same age, are they getting rid of LeBron?
Nope.
So you make it seem it's like any work employment. More times than not, what happens, Ocho? The younger guy takes the older guy's spot.
So it's been that way.
That's just the way it is.
Always been that way. Sports, corporate world, business.
Nobody is under the impression that LeBron James, at almost 42 years of age, is the same player. He's not. I've never said that, and I've been one of his staunchest supporters. I know he's not. And Luka, it should be Luka's team. Everybody knew that. We knew that was what they wanted. They was hoping AD was going to be able to be that bridge, because when Kobe retired, as Kobe started getting hurt, and he ends up retiring, they didn't have a bridge. Because see, they had a bridge from Kareem to Magic. Because you think about how it worked out. They had West and they had Chamberlain. They had Elgin Baylor. And then they had Jerry West. And then they get Chamberlain. And then you get Kareem. And then you get Magic. And you get Worthy. And then all of a sudden, a couple of years later, here comes Shaq and Kobe. And Shaq leaving. You still got Kobe. And you got Powell. And then they didn't have anything to fill that gap in. And then you got LeBron. And they say, you know what? We got LeBron for several years. But now we got AD. And AD will be the bridge. AD couldn't stay healthy. So now it's like we really need somebody. The Lakers, you gotta have a star. That's the only way it works in LA. You gotta have a star. They've always had it. It's Tinseltown. So now they have their star for the next, if he can stay healthy, for the next 7-10 years.
He got some pressure on his ass.
I can't blame him. Who faulting the Lakers for the decision that they made? I want to know who in their right mind faulting the Lakers. Nobody. But him going out of this notion ever since they acquired. Wow. You know what, Ocho?
Yeah.
Shannon had planned on retiring ever since he won the lottery. No ish. Of course. You win $500 million. Yeah. Ever since he won the lottery, he planned on retiring. Yep, you're absolutely right. I did. So I mean, look. He's never been a LeBron fan, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. But I think, to go out here and try to frame it like this, he just tell them, I'm not coming back. They knew that. They had offered him something. Look, I don't know in the sense now that LeBron would take, minimum, whatever the case may be. LeBron knew there was not he knew there was not 30, 40, $50 million out there for him. Best case scenario, you're talking about maybe 15, maybe somebody could give you 20, maybe. But if you get 20, you're not going to be able to go anywhere and win. But the most was 15. That's max.
Mm-hmm.
He knew that.
You think he knew that?
Yes. Now, he probably could go somewhere, a Sacramento, and get big bucks. But that's just a ticket draw. You're not finna win.
The only reason why I say that because when I think about LeBron, Uncle Ocho, I really don't think he thinks it's a player out there that's better than him or more cerebral than him, more important than him if you add him to it.
There's not. But you don't get to determine your value. Somebody else does.
Yes.
So when people keep saying, "Oh, I know my value," your values are based on what someone is willing to pay for it.
Yeah, and most of the time, the value that.
So you saw that there. So I thought that was that. And Ric Bucher doesn't release shows every single day. But yesterday I saw on the basketball show that he said Ric Bucher doubled down. I'm like, really? Ric Bucher actually responded to these guys? Like, really? He did? Now, if you know anything about Rick, he's a very well thought out, measured guy. And when he makes his points, he does it better pretty much than anybody because he really, really fleshes out his ideas. And in this sound that we're about to play, he basically explains why this entire thing is one big charade. And he goes through the reasons why in terms of, because now the thing is about these teams are recruiting LeBron, where he's like, no, you guys are pitching LeBron to teams. And he uses the specific case of the Philadelphia 76ers, and man, he blows this thing wide open. Like, it's really, really bad. So what we want to do now is want to play what Ric Bucher had to say in response to Shannon Sharpe and all of these guys, and we'll come back and give you guys our thoughts. Take a listen to that.
All right, I wouldn't come back to this if there weren't so much reaction in my previous episode and my assessment of LeBron James' value as a free agent at 41 years of age. Most of you saw it as a common sense view, not requiring particularly unique insight, but simply reading the circumstances and situation. Others, mostly LeBron fans, I'm guessing, quickly pointed to the grease board tutorial his agent, Rich Paul, gave on his podcast to make it seem as if LeBron were still a hot commodity. Or ESPN saying LeBron is sifting through his choices as if he has an array of options. One of those choices, according to Rich and ESPN, was Philadelphia. Or is Philadelphia? Rich going on about how attractive they are with the addition of Jalen Brown, almost insinuating that the Sixers went and got Brown to enhance their chance of landing LeBron. And how much LeBron could do mentoring VJ Edgecombe and teaching Joel Embiid about his health and fitness habits. How much LeBron loves his fellow clutch client, Tyrese Maxey. And how obviously LeBron could provide the Sixers with an element they desperately need as far as leadership and postseason experience. It was practically an infomercial or a live pitch to the Sixers and their fans. Did LeBron's representation make public pleas back in 2010 about how perfect he would be for a variety of teams? No. Teams were putting together elaborate presentations to make to LeBron as to why he should join them. None of that is going on here. Rich is pitching his client to teams. Teams are not pitching why LeBron should join them. Yet every media outlet parroted Rich's remarks as if they were gospel. Except that the Sixers used their mid-level exception to sign Dean Wade and had to get creative to sign Anthony Simons to a 2-year, $12 million deal, leaving them with 2 roster spots and only minimum contracts to fill them. If it was indeed LeBron choosing where to go, and the Sixers were one of the teams hoping to be chosen, don't you think they'd leave themselves options to offer something more than the last 2 roster spots and a minimum contract? It sounds like, at best, a take-it-or-leave-it scenario. Would they shoehorn LeBron and Bronny to fill the last 2 spots? If that's your idea of everybody wants him, it's going to be LeBron's choice where he goes, have at it. Does he still have value? Absolutely, especially if he's willing to sign a minimum contract. But this is what doesn't jibe with the idea that everybody wants him. Nobody is trying to create an unbeatable offer, and they're moving on to other options to fill their rosters while they wait. There's a difference between, we'd take him on a minimum, gladly, and, God, we hope our offer is good enough to get him. If there's any market for him, it's the former. Rich Paul is trying to give the impression it's the latter. If he was viewed as vital to next season's success, why the hell would the Sixers be signing Simons and Wade and eliminate any chance of giving LeBron anything more than the minimum? Or do they consider Wade and Simons more important? As I said in the last episode, the Cavs make the most sense as far as a team that LeBron can make better, but it's also where he still will be revered. Am I to believe that Wade and Simons are actually more important than LeBron to winning or their success? That's what the Sixers' moves are suggesting. As I said in the last episode, the Cavs make the most sense as far as a team LeBron can make better. It's also where he would still be revered. If Lakers fans don't feel he qualifies as an all-time Laker great, and plenty have said exactly that, watch what happens if he's not everything Sixers fans expect him to be. Philly fans are far more merciless, far more easily than Lakers fans. LeBron has to know that. And while Pat Riley might forgive LeBron for bolting to Cleveland without notice, I don't know if all Heat Nation would. Again, especially since they're getting a far different version of LeBron than the last one they saw.
So you heard what Rick had to say. I never went that in depth with it when he was talking about the cap space. He said if the Philadelphia 76ers were so keen to sign LeBron James, why in the hell then did they use up pretty much all of their cap space, even the mid-level exception? They used all of it up. And now he's only left with veteran minimum money. And they have 2 roster spots left. If he was as coveted as these guys are trying to make it seem, then why is he like the last option on the team? That is a very, very, very good point. If he were to give the Sixers such a major premium, why isn't he getting premium dollars? Because obviously that reflects what the organization believes you can do. Now, it may be that they still believe that LeBron can add a lot of value, but they're certainly not willing to pay for it. And that's what Ric Bucher's pointing out. He's saying you guys are saying these teams are pitching LeBron and they're running after LeBron James when the evidence suggests otherwise. The evidence suggests that you guys are the ones running after him, and they're already making moves. They're already making moves. And the reason they don't like Ric Bucher and they have to silence him is because he has a voice that has credibility. He is a credible voice. Me, nobody gives a damn about me because I've never been on TV. But people like him, they go after quickly, swiftly. That's why you see the entire machine collapsing on Ric Bucher. But unfortunately, it's not going to work because, number one, he has done all his research, and number two, he has a lot of credibility, and they can't shoot holes in it. Well, as you guys know, we recently did a show featuring some comments that, Charles Barkley had to make, right? And they really, really, really went viral because Charles Barkley essentially said that LeBron James has this obsession with stacking teams and he cannot win, or not that he cannot win, but that's always his default position. For those of you who don't remember that, take a quick look at what Charles had to say here just a few days ago.
The biggest criticism of LeBron James has always been that he packs his team, because he's always packed his team, because he's chasing this imaginary Michael Jordan ghost, what he needs to let go. Listen, I love LeBron. He spends more time talking about he's the GOAT, and Michael Jordan says, I never say I'm the GOAT. And then you got these people who argue all the time, which is stupid. LeBron, the only way he should go back to Cleveland and finish his career there. If he goes to Philly, people are going to say he's ring chasing to catch Michael. If he goes to Golden State, they're going to say he's ring chasing. He don't have no affiliation to Philadelphia or Golden State. What he does have is his hometown team who, listen, I'll be honest with you guys. If he goes to the Cavaliers, which is what I think the rightful thing, because that's his home, he grew up there, they're probably going to be favored to win the East,
right.
In my opinion, because they got a good team. They're lacking leadership, and LeBron's a great leader. And it'll be a fitting way for him to finish his career, in my opinion. But he got no affiliation with Philly. He got no affiliation with the Golden State Warriors. I hear people talking about, yeah, it would be fun to watch all those old geezers in Golden State play. Yeah, it would be fun. If he went to Philly, y'all probably would definitely be the favorite, to be honest with you guys. But he don't have no affiliation to Philly. And stop getting greedy, too.
Yeah, listen.
So you saw that there. Well, a lot of people got pissed off with Charles Barkley. Even of course, Shannon Sharpe. Now, as you guys know, in free agency now, we're hearing that the team that is keen to really acquire LeBron James is the Philadelphia 76ers. Well, as you guys know, Charles Barkley played for the Sixers, right? And he has more history with the Sixers than LeBron. And Charles has been saying that the team he thinks LeBron should go back to is the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's where he's from and all of that. He played there. They would accept him more than any other team. Would be a perfect place to finish his career. People got pissed off. Then we saw the interview with Daryl Morey on Game Over podcast and blah, 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 blah. So recently, he was playing golf and he was approached to kind of give his take on it. And he essentially like tripled down. He just like, no, I'm not backing off this position. This is exactly what I mean. So what I want to do now is I want to play what Charles had to say for the third time. And I'm going to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to this.
LeBron's his only move, in my opinion, is to go back to Cleveland. If he goes to Golden State or somewhere else, it'd be like he's chasing Michael Jordan, goes trying to win more championship. He don't have no affiliation with those other teams. His only affiliation where he was born was Cleveland, Ohio. So I think he should go back to Cleveland.
As we work in the Bay Area, obviously people in the Warriors arena
Yeah,
talking
man,
about
if you go to the Warriors, he'd just be chasing Michael Jordan. And let me tell you something. The only thing the Warriors, if he goes to the Warriors, all they got to worry about is do they have enough Depends, Sorbing Jr., Ben Gay with all them old-ass geezers they have on the team. So he should not go to Golden State. He should go, seriously, between Steph, Draymond, Jimmy Butler, and LeBron, they'd have to get a lot of Depends, a lot of Sorbing Jr., Ben Gay, with all those old-ass geezers on the same team. But he should go to Cleveland where he grew up, and it'd be a great way to finish the story.
So you heard what Charles had to say. I said it on my Instagram, and I'm going to say it again. These people are desperate. Desperation is driving all of this. LeBron fans are full of They like to tell you he's the GOAT. Even they don't believe it. You know the reason they don't believe it? Because they know they're the only ones that believe it. And if you're the only person that believes this one thing and the rest of the world believes something else, you tend to get paranoid. And you spend a lot of time trying to convince people. That's the reason they're so desperate for this guy to win a ring. If they truly believed that LeBron James was the greatest player of all time, they wouldn't feel this need to, let's get him enough. They'll be like, he's cool. He's cool. He's cool as a fan. Nothing, he doesn't need to do anything. But that's the desperation that they are feeling. They feel like, damn, what can we do to get him? What can we do to get our king a ring? Because no one really believes us. This is what's bothering them. They'll never say it, but that's what's because on the one hand, they'll tell you, oh man, LeBron's the greatest player of all time. He's the greatest player of all time. But then on the other hand, there's this desperation to win at all costs. On the one hand, LeBron will say ring culture is weird. And then on another hand, he'll turn around and say, that ring right there made me to go. This is the most confused movement and fan base in the history of sports. They don't even know what they're doing. And it's the desperation that is there. They are so desperate to prove that this guy is better than Michael Jordan that they're willing to do all of this nonsense. It's all in an attempt to convince people I'm better than Michael Jordan. And they know they never will. You guys had 23 years to try. And the only people you managed to convince was yourselves. No one else believes it. That's why I always say, and I'll say it again, no one outside of LeBron fans believe he's a GOAT. Nobody. It's just them and them alone. And Charles Barkley is like, bro, you're chasing this imaginary ghost. Go retire. It's over with. Like, man, damn, it's done. You're still trying to catch Michael Jordan. It's done. It's over. Like, give it up, bro. It's over with. Go live your life. Go play golf. Go do other things, man. Why are you putting yourself through all this stress? And I agree with Charles on this. I think he makes some really good points. As you guys know, sports beef is now a big thing in media, right? Everybody's beef and everybody got something to say to somebody. But no one finds himself embroiled in more beefs than Stephen A. Smith. He is the king of being at odds with people. And it's not just in sports, even in politics. Hell, even with the United States president. He's always at the center of it. And ever since he got this contract from ESPN, Stephen A. Smith has been on his BS. You know, he's been on his BS. He's become a lot bolder, he's always been bold. He's always been loud. But now you see there's a different pep in his step. And he's not pulling any punches. If you go at him, he's going to come right back at you. Always. And the entire sports media world is looking at it. Is taking notice of it. But as you guys know, recently, Jemele Hill and Draymond Green did a sit down on one of their podcasts, and they were talking about the ecosystem of sports media. And Stephen A. Smith came up, and Draymond Green had some comments about Stephen A. Smith where he's like, look, you're not even in these locker rooms, man, and you're hiding behind sources and all of that. Because you guys know Stephen A. Smith has the issue with Jaylen Brown and all of that. And then Jemele Hill, who is a journalist, who has a history in journalism, she just was laughing with him and agreeing with him. Well, Stephen A. Smith caught a whiff of these comments, man, and suffice to say, he was not happy, and he went on a long rant. And I want you guys to listen to it, especially towards the tail end, where he gets into the sports media beef, because that's where Jalen Rose jumps into the fray. Take a listen to the sound here.
Now they're not happy about my opinion, so they come to and so I don't think it's approached with that same integrity that you're speaking about, which ultimately, I think it leaves all journalists in a bad spot because you're not technically viewed as what you just said a journalist is.
I'm not going to say anything on TV I can't say to your face. So if I say on TV, not you personally, but if I say on TV, hey, you flopped. Yo, when I see you, I'll be like, yeah, I said you flopped.
What you laughing about, Jemele Hill? Somebody that's not in the locker room? Are you implying that you've been in the locker room more than me in my career? Is that the implication here, Jemele Hill? I beg to differ. I was a beat writer and an NBA columnist for 15 years. You just gonna sit up there and listen to Draymond Green and forget the fact that I was a beat writer, high school, colleges, pros, for the first 20 years of my career? And that I earned the right graduating through every step of this industry before I became a general sports columnist to not have to be in the locker room all the time? You just gonna let him say that? And there's no course correction whatsoever about the industry and the fact that my position was earned? Now let me get to you, Draymond. Ladies and gentlemen, before I say anything, you will never hear me say a disrespectful word about Draymond Green. I love the brother. I think he's a good dude. Draymond, where you gonna stop dancing around issues involving me and tell him what's up? You and I were pretty tight. And then after the choking incident with Rudy Gobert and the slap to Yusuf Nurkic, I upset you because I called you and said it was difficult to defend you. I'm not saying anything out of pocket or personal because this is what you said to Shaq on his podcast. So it was already public information. It's the only reason I'm revealing it. I'm not saying anything else about any of our conversations throughout the years, my brother. We've never talked since that time. But can you at least acknowledge to the people while you're talking publicly, if we're keeping it a buck, that when you went on Shaq's podcast and you said that that's the first time I knew you were upset at me? I didn't even know. You never called me and had a conversation man to man. I never knew you were upset. All of a sudden, we stopped talking. Prior to that, I didn't have to be in the Golden State locker room at that time to talk to you. As is the case with me and a whole bunch of players y'all will never know about because a lot of players don't reveal that they speak to me. nor do coaches, nor do executives. Because if you reveal that it's like that, how would I give access to the information I get access to? I've had coaches go into press conferences and call me out, and they were the ones that gave me the damn information. When you have sources, you protect sources. You don't know that, Jamel Hill? You've been an outstanding reporter for years. How many sources do you have? Care to tell us who? You want to listen to Jaylen Brown and want to think that's okay? All right, state your source, state your source. You gonna do that? Of course you're not. Because you know. But you're talking to Draymond and you're sitting there talking like he's got a point. Draymond, respectfully, you don't have a point. I wish y'all nothing but the best. It's just sad that these conversations devolve to this. But just like you gonna go on with your life trying to win championships, I'm gonna go on with mine, trying to have the top rated show. Good luck, Jamel. Good luck, Draymond. Peace and love. Catch y'all later. When Skip Bayless challenged you to come on his show on Fox and you retorted that it's a waste of your time, he don't have a snowball's chance in hell of coming at you or getting you to come on his show. He's done. He's the past. He's finished. That was one thing you said. And then you had him on your podcast, your show. And it was an entirely different tune that you were singing. You never invited me on Draymond Green's show since we haven't spoken. But you could give Skip Bayless an opportunity to have a conversation with you man to man, albeit in front of the cameras and the microphone. You've never accorded me that opportunity. You're just going to ignore all of that. Ain't going to come at me like that. You bring up LeBron James. You are absolutely right, Draymond Green. I'm not in the locker room too often anymore. Would it happen to be because I got to wake up at 7 o'clock every morning for a morning meeting? Because I do a live television show that's #1 in the mornings for 14 consecutive years and counting. God has blessed me with that. And I have obligations where I can't afford to wait to be in the locker room when y'all go in there and then you go in the shower and you take your time getting dressed and the media is supposed to wait for you. If you know you have my number.
All right, cool. So you heard what he had to say. So then Jalen Rose, so many Jalens. Jalen Rose, he caught a whiff of this. And if you guys know, Jalen Rose has been on ESPN. He's had moments with Stephen A. Smith, for example, where he said, stop calling players scrubs and all of that. Players work hard, doing that Kwame Brown thing. And Stephen A. Smith began to modify his position on things. Well, here again, Jalen Rose is calling out Stephen A. Smith. So what we want to do now is we're going to put up Jalen Rose's tweets. And he wrote this on his page on the 9th. He said, the most phony thing amongst quote-unquote media members is beefing. Then say, I'll go on your show or vice versa to discuss it. See, chasing clicks. Lame. That was directly towards Stephen A. Smith. Because he was talking about Draymond Green not inviting him to his show. You didn't invite me to your show. You didn't afford me that same opportunity that you gave to Skip Bayless. Right? You didn't afford it. And he even said, if it's ever an issue, y'all know me, I'm pulling up. Let's name the play. And he's been saying that for years. I think what Jalen Rose is speaking to, however, is this circus of sports media. There's a circus to it. There's this thing of, anything you say, I'll respond to. Anything I say, I say, you respond to. It's what it's become, right? It's like, it's the Wild Wild West. It never used to be like that. In the past, journalists really never went at each other. And if they had issues, it was really behind the scenes. But now it all kind of that's the new game, man. And everybody's a part of it. And to Jalen Rose, he doesn't like it. For all I know, Jalen Rose could not like my content. It's his opinion. But clearly, the things that Stephen A. Smith is doing annoyed him to the point where he felt like he had to put out a statement. And we all know who that was directed towards. And Jalen Rose, you got to give him credit for this. Jalen Rose will go at your ass, man. You saw what he did with Skip, but he don't be playing when it comes to that. So